do. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Baiming Kongtian also had unspeakable bitterness, and he was filled with regret. Baiming Lifeng did not dare to disobey Baiming Kongtian's opinion, so he pointed the main array at Yunxiao again. Guang Yuan licked his lower lip, and revealed a cold and sinister smile. He praised, such a huge profound level weapon. I can already sense the divine power contained in it. It's enough to fill me, when Bu, to the brim. He made a hand seal and Amitabha flew out from between his brows. It turned into a huge golden lotus and flew into the sky. Baiming Kongtian's expression changed drastically as he said in shock and anger, "First Island Master. Zhao Wenzhan tried every possible means to kill you before. Now he is an arrow at the end of its flight and has lost the qualification to negotiate with you. This is the best opportunity to kill him." Guang Yuan sneered, "Whether or not I'm qualified is up to me to decide. Who do you think you are? Moreover, since we've agreed that we're all comrades on the same front, how can I, Guang Yuan, be a person who goes back on my word?" Gulp. Everyone swallowed their saliva. These words coming from his mouth were too comical, but no one could laugh. However, no one would have thought that the two people who had a life-and-death battle before would actually form a life-and-death alliance. The world was truly like a game of chess, and the universe was unpredictable. Boom. Just as everyone's imagination was running wild, Amitabha transformed into a huge lotus platform and crashed into the 9th grade warship Evil Leviathan like a rock. Golden light shone and the entire sky trembled. The attack of the main array that was prepared for this moment also missed its target and landed on the Xiankong Island. A huge piece of the island was blown up and once again, it was torn apart. Not good. The Lotus Throne is absorbing the power of the battleship. The people on the 9th grade warship started to panic. They had never encountered such a situation before. Baiming Lifeng flew into a rage and immediately made his own decision, attack that magnificent Dharma Lotus platform. Boom. The battleship shot out a beam of light, which directly shook the Lotus platform hundreds of meters away. Guang Yuan's expression changed. This Feiyang Lotus platform had not yet absorbed enough power, and it seemed to be a little difficult to fight against a 9th grade warship. Fortunately, the power of the 9th grade battleship was constantly being absorbed by Amitabha. As long as he could hold on for a while, he would definitely win. Baiming Kongtian was shocked and furious. With a loud roar, he rushed towards Guang Yuan. With a grade 9 battleship stalling him, he didn't fear Guang Yuan. Ingredients? Are you in such a hurry to get into my mouth? Guang Yuan laughed coldly. The golden light in his hand condensed into the illusion of a lotus platform. They flew out one by one, forming a picture of a fairy flying in the sky, and struck out with a loud bang. Baiming Kongtian's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly performed a movement technique in the air and fled 1,000 meters away, only then was he able to avoid the opponent's vast attack. His face turned extremely unsightly. He could not kill Guang Yuan, and neither could Yunxiao. An almost hysterical sense of powerlessness spread in his heart. Finally, he roared and flew toward the warship. Yunxiao's eyes flickered as he quickly calculated in his mind. He gave a slight look at the guests not far away. The guest's expression turned serious as well. He understood Yunxiao's meaning, which was that he wanted him to save the man. But, he still had a deal with Guang Yuan. He raised his head and glanced at Guang Yuan. The madness and ferocity on that face made him completely uncertain in his heart. Then, thinking about Cold Feather and 9 Heavens' outcome previously, he immediately steeled his heart. Bang! A piece of the sky was crushed by his stomp, and with a kick, he teleported to Yunxiao's side and thrust his palm at Bo Yuqing. "Bingchen, what are you doing?" Bo Yuqing was shocked and furious. Although that palm wasn't a killing move, he couldn't block it with his current strength and was forced to retreat. Having succeeded in his attack, the guest immediately grabbed Yunxiao and stomped on the ground in the air, flying to Liao Yangbing and the others. Second Island Master, are you going to betray us? Bo Yuqing was furious. Fifth Island Master, you and the First Island Master are too smart. The guest smiled bitterly and said, I really don't feel safe being with you. Give that person back to me. Bo Yuqing said angrily. I can help you fulfill the agreement between you and the First Island Master. Guang Yuan was currently focused on wasting time with the 9th grade battleship. He turned around to take a look, and said coldly, Fifth Island Master, since he's refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit, I'll absorb this warship. Let's join forces and send them to the west. He licked his lips and grinned hideously, these are all great tonics. Everyone was startled by his cold expression, and their faces turned pale. No one wanted to become the crunching snacks in his mouth. Seize the wicked patriarch's warship and escape. Yunxiao said in a deep voice. Everyone's heart trembled as they looked up. This starship was indeed their only hope of escaping the island. Let's go, follow me. The officials hollered and broke through space, charging towards the 9th grade battleship. Yunxiao, water deity, and the others followed behind him, and a large number of people soared into the sky. Baiming Kongtian was extremely furious. When he saw the guests and ministers rushing over together, he shouted even more angrily, boom. Blast these people to death. The main array of the warship was still accumulating power, and the rest of the attack arrays were all activated. Dozens of attacks fell like rain, bombarding the people and the broken island. Break. The guest shouted and punched out several times, shattering all the attacks in front of him. Yunxiao also threw out his Supreme Yang umbrella, which suddenly opened in the air and protected everyone in it. The aftershocks of the attacks that were scattered by the guests and ministers fell on the umbrella, but were all bounced off. Baiming Kongtian's face was so gloomy that it was about to drip water. He clenched his fists and violent energy gushed out of his body. His face was full of complicated expressions. The primordial energy in his body was almost depleted, and even if he gave it his all, he could not stop the attacks of the guests, Yunxiao, and the others. He closed his eyes helplessly and finally dispersed the surging power in his body. He took out some medicinal pills and began to calm his heart and recuperate. The situation was getting more and more complicated, and the trend of everyone gathering on the 9th grade warship was unstoppable. Only by recovering a little more strength could they have a higher chance of winning the next situation. Yunxiao and more than a dozen people rushed to land on the 9th tier warship. All the human powerhouses gathered again, sighing with mixed feelings. At this moment, the number of people on the island was less than half of the number before they entered the island. More than half of the members of the Battle Blade team who had followed Yunxiao here were either dead or injured, and a large number of warriors had been buried in this sea forever. The two groups of people were facing each other on the warship. At this moment, they were enemies and not friends, and Yunxiao's side even had a slight upper hand, which made the warriors of the Baiming family a little panicked. Elder Kongtian, young Master Lifeng, Yunxiao said with a smile. Thank you for taking me in. Both Baiming Kongtian and Dark North Lifeng bit their lips so hard that they bled. They wanted to rush up and eat him alive. The guest also smiled and said, Why do the two of you look so pale? It's better to leave this sea region as soon as possible. If we continue to waste time, the power of the entire warship will be drained by Amitabha. Set sail. Baiming Lifeng gritted his teeth and said, Leave this sea region at full speed. The main attack array on the battleship had also completed a round of energy accumulation. It suddenly launched an attack at Amitabha and took advantage of the momentum to escape. Boom. A huge beam of light shot through the sky. Amitabha's light seemed to dim under the light. Guang Yuan's expression changed. Just now, he had been struck once, and the qi and blood in his body had already been shaken. If he were to be struck again, it was very likely that he would be injured again. However, the attack from the main array had an extremely strong sealing power, which completely locked onto Amitabha. Guang Yuan was both shocked and furious. He instantly disappeared from his spot, and the next moment, he appeared on Amitabha, sitting down cross-legged. The Shin methodology in his hands unfolded, and 9 colored lights appeared on the lotus platform. It was a solemn scene. Boom. The attack of the main array hit the 9 colored light and shook the entire lotus platform away, but it could not break the defense. After a few breaths, the power of the light beam gradually dissipated. The human cultivators in the distance all had grave expressions. Their most powerful attacks couldn't do anything to this person. If he caught up to them, they would be in big trouble. Xiaoyu immediately activated his maximum speed, flying as fast as lightning in the sky. After Guan Yuan took the blow, it indeed triggered his old injuries. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his cold eyes swept over the island. It was a scene of devastation. There were also many sea tribe warriors scattered above. As his gaze fell, they all felt a chill and fled in all directions. Humph, how can you let the meat in your mouth go? Guan Yuan snorted coldly, and the incantation in his hands unfolded. Golden light spread out from the Amitabha, like flowers falling, and a fragrant scent wafted. The power of the golden light was so strong that it covered the entire island. Bo Yuqing's expression changed. He turned into a sword in the air and instantly broke through the golden light blockade. He flew above Amitabha and looked coldly, but more of his eyes were staring at the battleship flying away in the distance, becoming colder. All laws are like dreams and bubbles, like fog and lightning, and should be observed like this. Guan Yuan spat out in the dragon language, and under the golden light, there was an auspicious sign. Everyone's mind trembled, and then they suddenly felt as if they had lost something, and the power in their bodies began to drain away. Guan Yuan's eyes exploded with a brilliant light, and he suddenly transformed into a dragon's head. Opening it, he sucked in all of the endless power into his mouth. Bo Yuqing's expression was uncertain. Such an evil method was actually so solemn and dignified. Several figures rushed up into the air and broke through Amitabha's sealing power, scattering in all directions. Guan Yuan's current power was too weak, and he was unable to seal off some of the elites who were of a higher level. He snorted coldly, and said, "Fifth Island Master." Understood, Bo Yuqing said with a stern expression. He placed 2 fingers on his forehead, and a powerful spiritual force rushed out, penetrating the heaven and earth. The people who had fled in all directions found to their shock that they had actually returned to the sky above the island in an instant, right in front of Guan Yuan. One of them had a cold expression as he knelt down on one knee and surrendered, "Please spare our lives, Lord Guan Yuan. We are willing to follow you. With the power of the few of us, we can still be of some use." The other person also understood and hurriedly knelt down, swearing allegiance. Guan Yuan's expression turned cold, and he said with a smile, "You're all too modest. With your strength, you'll be of great use. How can you be of little use?" A huge dragon head appeared in the air, roaring as it bit towards the few of them. "Arg! Damn it, we'll fight you to the death." The eyes of the few people kneeling on the ground were about to pop out. They were going to die anyway, so they became even more ruthless. But after kneeling, it was difficult to stand up again. Amitabha spread out a solemn power, directly pressing them down. The dragon's head let out a loud roar and swallowed all of them into its mouth, chewing them. Bo Yuqing looked at all of this calmly and said, "I've already left a mark on that 9th grade warship. They can't escape my perception." After Guan Yuan had swallowed all of them, he licked his lower lip with his long tongue, and said with a smile, "That's a ship full of ingredients." Bo Yuqing's eyes flashed with a bright light as he flew onto the lotus throne. Guan Yuan laughed loudly and immediately activated the lotus seat, chasing after the 9th grade warship. After leaving Amitabha's golden light, the Xiankong island instantly became weak, and the earth veins that were broken all over the island burst out. The entire island was spewing out all kinds of energy and started to collapse. The surrounding seawater began to gather as everyone left, setting off waves after waves, engulfing the entire island. A golden lotus was riding the wind and breaking the waves. Guan Yuan sat cross-legged inside, while Bo Yuqing stood quietly by his side, his arms crossed in front of his chest, his eyes slightly closed in rest. Bo Yuqing suddenly opened his eyes and stared into the distance. First Island Master is a member of the Eastern Sea's royal family and Guangxian's big brother. You must know about the rainbow stone, right? Guang Yuan's entire body trembled, and his eyes suddenly bloomed with light. He said in a deep voice, "You also know about rainbow stones? Why do you ask?" "As far as I know, Donghai Palace once migrated because of the rainbow stone," Bo Yuqing said. "I wonder if it's true." Guang Yuan's eyes flickered, and he snorted, "Fifth Island Master, you don't need to know the details. I'm just curious why you suddenly asked about this." "Xiankong Island is gone," Bo Yuqing said. "Lord Guang Yuan, you can just call me by my real name, Bo Yuqing." "My lord, you really won't let go until you see the rabbit," he said with a smile. "Bo Yuqing." Guang Yuan mumbled softly and snorted coldly. The relocation of Donghai Palace back then did involve some inside information. If Brother Yuqing can't explain it clearly, it's difficult for me to tell outsiders. Since Lord Guang Yuan knows about Rainbow Stone, then you should naturally know about Agarine. "My lord, have you ever wondered why the Baiming family would come to this sea region?" "Why?" Guang Yuan asked, stunned. He didn't think too much about it before, but now, he also felt that it was strange. He was curious about the motive of the Baiming family. Bo Yuqing's eyes flashed with a cold light. "If my information is correct, the former site of the Palace of East Ocean is in the sea area, and it's very likely that Li Yunxiao has the two stones of neon." "Impossible." Guang Yuan suddenly jumped up from Ru and said in shock, "There is indeed a rainbow stone in the Palace of Donghai, and it's in the hands of my brother, Guangxian. There's no way Yunxiao can get it." Bo Yuqing glanced at him and said indifferently, "Could it be that Lord Guang Yuan doesn't know that there isn't only one of the two stones of neon?" "What?" Guang Yuan's face changed drastically. "You mean that Yunxiao obtained the two stones of neon from somewhere else, and his purpose in coming to this sea area is for the ruins of the palace?" Bo Yuqing turned around and stared at Guang Yuan, saying, "These are just my speculations. Otherwise, I really don't know their purpose in coming to these waters. As for whether or not to go to the ruins of Donghai Palace, Lord Guang Yuan should have a better idea than me, right? Why did the palace of Donghai collapse?" Guang Yuan's expression turned grave, and he fell silent. After a long while, he said softly, "Back then, the palace was abandoned. Half of it was because of the rainbow stone. The other half was because of the palace's special nature. However, in the end, it was still because of the rainbow stone. Since you're the successor of the Yusheng Feng, you should know that the two stones of Nihong can't be together. How can you tell that Yunxiao has the two stones of Nihong?" "Ice Fiend Heart Flame." Bo Yuqing said word by word. "The flames of the heart's demon that devours all things, the flames of the void?" Guang Yuan asked in shock. Since Li Yunxiao can already control the Ice Fiend Heart Flame, he said suspiciously, "Why do you want to go to the palace ruins?" "That's exactly what I want to know," Bo Yuqing said. The wrinkles on Guang Yuan's brows also began to rise, and he also looked as if he could not figure it out no matter how much he thought about it. He suddenly laughed, and said, "Could it be that you want me to help you obtain this item by telling me about the Ice Fiend Heart Flame, Brother Yuqing?" Bo Yuqing didn't hide it and nodded, as expected. Lord Guang Yuan is intelligent. The value of this thing is even above that of a transcendent grade profound artifact. "Brother Yuqing, aren't you thinking too well of me?" Guang Yuan chuckled. Bo Yuqing's expression didn't change and he said sternly, "There can be conditions for everything, and moreover, Master Guang Yuan has just received what I heard. To fill it with power and completely control it will probably take a lot of time. After all, a person's energy is limited." "But that's the Ice Fiend Heart Flame," Guang Yuan said with a smile, his eyes narrowed. "What other conditions does Lord Guang Yuan want to state?" "Just say it," Bo Yuqing said. Guang Yuan smiled and said, "It's so convenient to talk to smart people. Yunxiao and all his profound level weapons will belong to me, including the cauldron of mountain and river. After you obtain the neon stone and refine the Ice Fiend Heart Flame, you must help me find a piece of neon stone." Bo Yuqing frowned. Lord Guang Yuan's good plan. Not only do you want to take everything, but you also want to control the neon stone. Even if I'm willing to agree to your request, who in the world knows where the other piece of neon stone is? You don't have to worry about that, Guang Yuan said with a smile. Guangxian has a rainbow stone in his hands. After I kill him, I will naturally be able to get it. As for the next piece of agarine, I more or less have some idea. As long as you help me get it, I can give you the cauldron of mountain and river in the future. Bo Yuqing pondered for a moment, then said, all right, deal. That's great. Guang Yuan laughed loudly, and Amitba seemed to have increased his speed on the sea, chasing after the 9th grade warship. The entire 9th grade warship was eerily silent. Everyone was split into 2 groups, facing each other from a distance. Most of them were sitting cross-legged to recover their energy. Ever since he learned of Yunxiao's identity, Baiming Kongtian had been frowning, and his eyes were as dull as a dead fish's. Especially now, when he saw Yunxiao recovering little by little, he was even more anxious and at a loss, not knowing what to do. If he made a move at this moment, a guest on the other side was enough to hold him back, and the strength Yunxiao had shown just now could kill everyone on their side except him. It was even a question whether he could not be defeated by Yunxiao and the ministers when they joined forces. At the thought of Yunxiao's identity, he shuddered and felt a chill run down his spine. Yunxiao opened his eyes and gave him a teasing look as he said with a smile, the Baiming family's ice true qi is indeed amazing. Even with Elder Kong Tian's superpower, he's still cold and his lips are pale. It's too amazing. Baiming Kong Tian bit his lips, his eyes filled with hatred. Aren't you two together? The guest asked in surprise. Why does this old man want to kill you? Who knows? Yunxiao chuckled. Maybe he's possessed. Baiming Kongtian was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He glared at Yunxiao, his killing intent rising. Liao Yongbing suddenly flipped over his hand, and a needle appeared in his palm. After staring at it for a while, he said in surprise, young Master Yun, our destination doesn't seem to be far from here. What? What a coincidence. Yunxiao was also surprised. Is there such a coincidence? Where are you guys going? Asked Shui Xian. The ruins of the palace of Donghai, Yunxiao said. I wonder if you know about it, Princess Water Fairy. Shui Xian thought for a while and said, has the palace of Donghai moved? I don't know. Yunxiao shook his head speechlessly. He had wanted to see if the little girl knew anything, but now it seemed that she was completely ignorant. Then when will you follow me back to the sea forest? Narcissus asked. What? Yunxiao was taken aback. When did I say I was going to the sea forest with you? Didn't you promise to help me with something? Shui Xian asked anxiously. Do we have to go to the sea forest? What if Master Poseidon asked me to stay and drink tea for a few hundred years? Water deity was stunned. How could that be? My father rarely drinks tea. Yunxiao's forehead was covered in sweat. Let's talk about this later, he said hurriedly. I still have several important things to deal with now. My matter is also very important, Water deity said anxiously. Then you should deal with your own matters first, but once you're done, you have to follow me to the sea forest as soon as possible, she said. Yunxiao nodded repeatedly, but in his heart, he was thinking, I'll go after I've recovered to the peak of 9 stars martial sovereign and can defeat your father. Otherwise, if he went there rashly and was recognized by the Sea Emperor, even if he did not die, he would have to drink tea for hundreds of years. At this moment, a disciple of the Baiming family ran over and whispered in Baiming Lifeng's ear. Baiming Lifeng's expression changed. He was both surprised and delighted. He had also received the news, so he hurriedly reported it to Baiming Kongtian. Baiming Kongtian, on the other hand, had lost all interest. He waved his hand and said, I'll leave everything to you. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important. Baiming Lifeng was taken aback, then he turned to Yunxiao and said, Li Yunxiao, I have 2 pieces of news. First, we've already entered the target sea area, and second, we don't have enough vitality stones on the warship. I hope everyone can work together and contribute their vitality stones to get through this difficult time. Otherwise, if the warship stops, we'll all be stuck on the ocean. Yunxiao and the others frowned, then lowered their heads and pretended to be dead, while some turned their faces away and hummed songs. Biming Lifeng was furious. Li Yunxiao. He shouted. Don't you have any sense of unity? The battleship has carried you for so long, and you're not even willing to pay some vitality stones now? Yunxiao rolled his eyes at him and said, didn't we agree to use battle to feed battle? We can just search the nearby seas for resources or races and rob them.